Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to this very special Supercut episode. If you're not familiar with these, what we're trying to do is a 5-10 minute, super short, super quick clip of the full episode so that you can get the greatest nuggets of what the guests shared. If you like this, please leave a like in the comments below and you can give us some feedback. The goal of these is to deliver the best of the episode to you, and you will always be able to find the full episode linked at the end of the Supercut. So with that, let's get right to it. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Layoff Legends podcast, where we come together to listen to layoff stories and relevant expertise with the focus on finding inspiration, encouragement, and guidance for the laid off professional community. Career changes don't impact just paychecks, they ripple through families, relationships, and identities. Today, we're joined by Dr. Valdesha DeJean again, a nationally recognized psychiatrist, speaker, author, and mental health advocate to explore how career transitions reshape the emotional fabric of the home. Together, we'll unpack real strategies for navigating tough conversations, setting healthy boundaries, and maintaining connection and resilience during seasons of change. If you've ever felt tension between who you are and who your family needs you to be when it comes to a layoff or times of career transition, this conversation is for you. Dr. DeJean, welcome back to the Laid Off Legends podcast.
Thanks for having me back.
As we talk about layoffs, we often tend to focus on the individual who lost their job. Could you help us understand the ripple effect a layoff has on the family system?
Anxiety has a contagion effect. So the ripple effect is basically a lot of the emotions of the person who has just been laid off is absorbed by the family, whether that's the sadness of it, the anxiety, the grief, the loss.
When people are laid off, where do they begin when it comes to talking with their loved ones as they start to reconcile this information?
One of the first things is if you already know that there might be a threat of layoff, I think it's important to go ahead and have that conversation with your spouse. But once the layoff does happen, the key is to try to take a moment to process it for yourself and then create a time and environment and structure to go ahead and have that crucial conversation with your spouse. So the first thing that you do, you create the environment, acknowledge your feelings about how it is for you, and ask the partner, how is it for them? What are they afraid of? And just have an honest conversation. So it's also on the partner who is not the one that's facing the layoff to create an environment of emotional safety. Even if I feel upset about it, I don't judge it, I don't critique, I don't blame. I reserve those things and try to manage that before I have that conversation.
I want to go back to the feeling of shame and why we're not as open to sharing this with the closest people in our lives. How do we break down that wall of shame?
Part of the shame comes from the fact that society has created this standard of what it means to be employed. I think that men have it a little bit worse because there's this societal standard that men should be the provider, and those traditional standards are still upheld.
Can we do a little bit of role play? A provider having received the news that they've been laid off. Could you walk us through what that could look like in a very healthy way?
Okay. So the first thing as you're driving home, you allow yourself to feel those emotions, cry, be sad, be mad, be disappointed, just feel all of that. Call your biggest cheerleader. So after you felt your feelings, you assess the environment when you get home and make sure the timing is right. And then I would just simply say, I am upset to let you know that today I got laid off. I know that this is probably scary for you just as much as it is for me, but reassurance I think is key. We're going to be okay. And I'm going to have some plans in place so that we can make sure we are okay.
And so, if we put the hat on the spouse, what would the healthiest reaction look like?
The best thing that spouse can do is say, be honest about what they're feeling. I'm scared, but I believe in you. I know what you're capable of. We're going to be okay. The spouse needs to be the biggest cheerleader. So I think it's important to say, what would you need from me, and what do you continue to need from me, and as we go through this together, being a cheerleader, asking what they need is most important. The next thing I would say is um to create structure and the timing of how often you have these conversations about the layoff. So maybe we do a weekly check-in and we pledge not to um, talk about this until the weekend because the cadence and frequency needs to be mutually agreed upon.
Could we bring in some external people now into this conversation? How do families that have been laid off and are now adapting to the new reality, how do they share that news with their network?
I believe in the power of vulnerability, but I also believe that vulnerability is a gift that you only give to people who deserve the right to know. I do think that's a very delicate balance of figuring out who do we feel emotionally safe and won't judge us and won't criticize us or spread our business, it's across the community.
Do you have a sense of how this plays out over time? It's one thing to have this conversation on the day of the layoff, but then a week goes by, 2 weeks, a month, and we're seeing really, really long lead times as folks apply, they get rejected, or they don't apply, they don't hear back from these companies, or they go on long interview loops and then they reach the end, and then of course the job is an offer, which is another painful setback. How does the family unit play in supporting that individual as they go through that fight to find another role?
It can get harder and harder as time progresses. In terms of those families who have adjusted well, here are some of the things I've seen. The willingness to pivot. I've seen people start a little side hustle business that they can still do in home, like arts and crafts or selling jewelry and things like that, just to show that they're trying and they're in this with them, you know? I also think that the power of those structured check-ins can help too. Let's just go take a walk together or offering some support. And again, asking what can we do in those moments where you feel so deflated after you've gone to the fourth round of interviews and nothing happens? How can I help you? On the person who continues to get rejected is also important that they don't limit their value to financial provision so that they maybe do some more housekeeping, go take a break in, run some errands, do some things that you wouldn't conventionally do so that you're showing, like, I know that this is tough on everyone, but just know that I'm trying to show you that I know that there's value in other places that I can fit in.
How is the spouse helping throughout this entire journey?
To continue to cheerlead, to continue to ask if you need anything, to be willing to do more and getting creative with their own financial contributions. It's also important each partner examine their relationship with money. Some people have a trauma of scarcity, so a layoff can really send them into a crisis because they once developmentally had times that were rough or times of lack.
How do the parents help the children understand and think about resources and coming together as a family in a really healthy way so that it doesn't become a negative permanent imprint?
If there are younger kids saying, just briefly say, hey, we lost our job, but we're going to be okay. But to be proactive, saying, when Christmas or your birthday comes, we may not be able to get the same number of gifts that we usually can give you. So you're setting an expectation. But when we get back on track, you will begin to receive things as it is. Now, what we don't want to do, where we inappropriately expect the teams to then contribute financially and make them like a third party provider, that creates a pattern of financial enmeshment that can impact the child's psychology of money down the line with their own family. I don't think that's healthy for children.
What are some of the practical things that families can do outside this job search that can really help maintain the fabric of family?
I love that question because, sometimes we don't always see the beauty in pain, but I have seen so much beauty come out of pain. So there is an opportunity here. There is an opportunity for restructuring the family to getting back to the grassroots things of what makes people happy. So as a family, I think don't stop those things that really keep the family bonded. Secondly, I would say get creative. So it's like there is this opportunity, despite the pain, to really spend more quality time, get creative with fun activities, game nights, stuff that doesn't cost money.
Do you have any insights on how close friends can support folks that they know are going through a layoff period?
Yes, really close friends, they can do the job of normalizing it. A lot of people getting laid off, that kind of normalizing it to show them you're not judging them. Saying stuff that's validating, like that company's missing out on you and they'll see it one day. So lifting them up, affirming them, normalizing the culture.
It's you know who your circle is and you know who your people are. And I think that that's one of the most powerful things about going through these types of times with a circle that is your ride or die day
Yes.
one's group of people.
That is such a good point about this art of pause. Okay, it was a bad day, and chalking it up to just it was a bad day, and go have some fun because it really does help you to
Mhm.
take your mind off it for a little while.
Have you observed families get stronger out of things like this?
Yes, yes. There is something to be said when you feel like you have, as a family, gotten out of huge crisis. It builds a collective esteem for the family to say, you know what? I now know that I have my person, I have my people, that it's me against the world.
As we wrap, Dr. Jean, what should people be thinking about if you were to put a message to families that
Mhm.
are going through a layoff experience on a billboard? What would it be?
I would encourage every person who's facing layoff to ask their partner and other family members, children, or whoever, what other value do I bring to your life outside of my financial provision? Money is important, we know that, but you've got to know the other ways in which you matter. So I think that's what the question can be asked. And then if they don't ask the question, the other partner can tell them all about their value outside of that.
Thank you for sharing that. So relatable and so powerful for folks to hear. All thank you. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the Layoff Legends channel. We'll have more videos like this, and YouTube will also show you a video that it believes you'll enjoy. Thank you again for the time, and we'll see you next time.